What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about Wes in Scream 2022. So, a couple weeks ago, maybe closer to a month ago, I did a video on Vince. Vince, to me, was a very interesting character. Well, why do I bring him up? Well, I wanted to kind of do the same thing for Wes. Wes, to me, it's hard to give the label as the most mysterious character because it's Scream, okay? It's Scream in general, but because it's a Scream film, and in this film, granted, I want to say Wes is the most, intriguing, interesting, mysterious, hidden, any of those key words. I want to say it's him, okay? And I maybe I'll just go with my gut and say, obviously for the purposes of this video, that it is him. But in general, I mean, yeah, you can make the case for Vince. You can make it probably for Liv. Amber, obviously, is a little suspect, but I don't know if necessarily she's the most mysterious, right? But you can make the case, I would say, for several characters. But Wes really stands out to me in a way that I want to explain throughout the video. So one of the first things I want to say, just so I don't forget it, I mentioned this in the live stream when we had everybody together for the live stream. Wes, to me, in the trailer and the TV spots, he's so interesting because we haven't seen him past maybe a quarter or a third through the movie. And now, that is an assumption. That's an assumption. That's me trying to piece together scene by scene how the movie's going to go. But in my opinion, from what we've seen so far, okay, Wes is only shown in the beginning-ish of the movie. Now, you could make the same judgment call with Vince. You could even do it with Liv. The stuff we've seen with Liv, I do think Liv actually makes it an incredibly long time in this movie, and I think that's kind of a misdirect that they're keeping her hidden, right? Whereas Vince, they're not. They're not showing him much because he's not going to be in it much. Wes, I think, is also like Liv. I think they're purposely not showing you Wes a lot throughout the movie, because if you think about it, all we really have is we know Wes will be in the house, right? Judy's his mom, and we know Ghostface is going to attack one of them. I still 1000% believe it's Judy. Okay, I think Wes survives the house stuff. Dewey is talking to him, right? Explains the rules. And then around the same time, not exactly the same time, but he'll get Sydney involved, all that stuff. Then we see when they're all sitting on the couch together, right? And there's actually 3 couches. I only ever show the picture of 2, but there are 3 couches, and I would say any of the surviving people are there. You know what I mean? They're still sitting there, and Wes is there. But after that moment, we don't see him. I'm trying to think as I'm talking. We don't see him at all in any of these things. We don't see him in the hospital. We don't see him at the house party. We don't see him at any in-between thing. Now, hopefully, and I would assume, there's more in it than just hospital, then house party, okay? Those are not, the only 2 things after, the first third of the film. But we haven't seen him anywhere. We've seen Sam a ton. We know Amber, right? We know Amber makes it to the house. We know Richie makes it to the house. We know Mindy makes it to the house, right? We know Chad probably dies outside the house or right before the house party, right? And these are just, I guess, assumptions, or these are kind of my predictions, but this is what I'm gathering from every single, TV spot, every single trailer. I mean, only one trailer, but I guess the 15,000 TV spots, which are mainly the same things being shown over and over, but slightly different takes on them. But we never see Wes. So, again, I feel like that easily, to me, stands out as okay, well, what are you exactly doing with this character? I guess, so the next part of this video would be talking, about him. I really am certain, and I've said this, a lot of times, I'm really certain it's Richie and Amber. Okay, I'm willing to, I'm not going to bet. In fact, I do have the Bet MGM app. Okay, maybe I'll bet on the killers there. But I'm not going to bet you guys on who the actual, killers are in the movie. But I really think it's those 2. However, I think Liv very much is a red herring. I don't think it's her. I really think Wes is the only other person that you could convince me of in any way that's the killer. And I guess I would include Stu, bringing Stu back from the dead, stuff like that, or not from the dead, depending on how you view it, right? But I would say of the entire cast, I think it's Richie and Amber, but if you pitched me and you swapped one of them for Wes, I feel like I'd believe you. I would follow you through your logic. Because there's also something to characters being missing, isn't there? When there's characters that are not in certain scenes, you don't, that's not ruling them out. It's actually ruling them in. Is that a phrase, right? So the fact that we haven't seen Wes in the hospital, is kind of alarming, because if he's alive at that time, now again, we don't see Liv in the hospital. We don't see Chad in the hospital. We don't see Amber in the hospital. We don't see Wes. So there are other candidates, right? And if there's two of them, it's easy to do, like, again, like Richie gets attacked. I think that's a ploy to make you think that it's not him, right? So, like, there are ways around it. But, when you're not at a scene where Ghostface is, I mean, logically, that puts you as a candidate, because that could be you underneath the mask, right? I do feel like it's a male at the hospital, and that's only because the Dewey fight, and I would just like it to kind of be realistic and hope that it's not 5'4", 85-pound Amber fighting Dewey with a knife, and they're gonna win or whatever. Like, I would like to believe it's a male. Not that Dylan Minnette is very, physically intimidating and could actually take out David Arquette, but we have to follow it through for what it is. Honestly, I think Richie would make the most sense in terms of like a hand-to-hand fight there, or even Chad. But, I think Wes gets put in that suspicion list because of that. Same thing with the house party. I mean, you could argue that, because even, and I don't know what order this video goes up with other videos, but I've made videos predicting the order of death of all the characters. And Wes, I mean, there's no clear-cut timing, of where he's going to be. I think you have to keep certain characters around a long time, and right up until that last, like right before the final chase or the final reveal of Ghostface, you have to keep like a couple of them. You could argue with Scream 1, right? You had Billy, Stu, and Randy. Those were like your three main suspects, and they all made it to the end. And I guess maybe you think it's only one of them, or maybe you're supposed to think there's only one of them, and obviously it's two out of the three. So like, you could do that if you had the group of Richie and even Sam. Like, if you wanted to make Sam out to be potentially Ghostface, which I think they're going to make us at some point think she is, but, you'd have Sam. Tara, I think, would be alive, but just not there. But yeah, like Sam, Richie, Amber, like these are all characters that can make it. And then even you have Liv, but then maybe you kill Liv off, so then now, obviously she's not a suspect, but maybe Wes is still there, right? Like, you can build a couple people where, it's 2 out of 4 or 1 out of 3 or 1 out of 2 or whatever. You can have a small sample size, and you can also have a small, amount of people that it could, or I guess a small amount of ghost faces that it could be from that size. So I don't know. Wes is interesting. I guess the last thing I want to say, one of the most interesting things that's going to happen in this movie, I think, okay, and I think if we pay attention, maybe a clear dead giveaway early on is going to be, how does he react to his mom dying? If it actually, so like, his name is Wes Hicks, so he's the son of Judy. They're at the house, all that stuff. So, okay, if we're all like, and I don't really think they're going to do any sort of weird bait and switch where he's not her son. I guess it's possible. Maybe she adopted him or something, but let's pretend like they are mother and son. If he doesn't act distraught and saddened by that happening, if that happens, I guess, then he would immediately, I would say, and maybe they'll do it on purpose, maybe he won't react all that much to his mom dying, and then it's like, well, why are you doing that? And then it can kind of be blamed on, well, maybe he's just not an emotionally expressive person, so he wouldn't share emotions, like, what I mean? So, like, there are ways they could, at the end of the movie, they could say, like, we had trails of it, but we didn't actually have, but it was up for you guys to kind of read through it, something like that. But that, to me, is going to be one of the most interesting. If and when Judy dies, where is Wes? Like, is he in the house? Or, like, do we know where he is? Because if he's not present, that also puts him on the suspect list. He could have killed his mom. That could be, which was terrible and horrible, but it could be possible. And then how he reacts afterwards to it, right? That'll be a big thing too, in my opinion. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Make sure, as always, you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on so you know when all these videos go up. We are getting very, very close, my friends, to this movie releasing. If you want to follow me on Twitter or subscribe to my second channel or support us on Patreon or YouTube memberships, links for them all are in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you all on the next video.